Hey Clarkson Youth Families, it's Ryan McCurley here from Clarkson Community Church, and I hope you have a few minutes for a quick story. A few weeks ago, I was getting ready to teach our Sunday morning youth class, and I kind of came across a problem that I hadn't had before. We use a curriculum to teach lessons about Jesus and about the things that Jesus says and does. And I came across this lesson where the curriculum we're using had taken a take on it that I didn't quite agree with. And so I brought this to our students on Sunday morning. I said, guys, listen, I'm dealing with something that I just haven't come across before, which is that I'm teaching a lesson that I don't actually agree with. And I said, this last week, I've had a few different conversations and thought about different solutions to this problem. I could teach the lesson as is and end up teaching something that I don't actually agree with. And that didn't quite sit right with me. Or B, I could change the lesson entirely, scrap it, and write a new one that was more in line with the way I understand God. But that didn't sit quite right with me either. Or C, and this is the one I decided to do, I could lead the discussion, but at the same time, I could engage on the topic in an equal part with them. Kind of go through this journey of wrestling through faith together and hopefully try to kind of figure out and clarify what I do believe. And that's the one I ended up going with. And so I told them this, and one of our students, their hand shot up and they said, wait a minute, would you mind if I led the lesson? So I said, sure. So they ended up guiding us through this discussion with me kind of guiding from the side. And they ended up asking all these questions, and I was able to participate and engage in an incredible discussion that had a couple of really cool benefits. And I want to share those with you because I think that there is benefit in us wrestling with our faith alongside our kids. Whether you're a parent, whether you're a youth leader, there is a lot of benefits to us actually dealing with and struggling with and questioning our faith inside of them. And so I want to share this with you. The first is that it gives them a good model of how to wrestle with your faith. Sometimes as youth are dealing with these issues and they're coming up against ideas that they don't know what they really believe about it. And they're trying to refine and shape their views on religion and faith, their views on relationships, their views on politics, their views on how they fit in the world with other people. They're having to question and challenge a lot. But a lot of the adults in their life, their parents, their teachers, their coaches, their youth pastors or youth workers, a lot of the times the adults in their life, they seem to have a lot of it together. They're very confident in what they believe. They already have political views that seem fully formed. They seem to have a lot of this already dealt with. And so they don't necessarily know, if I'm going through all this and questioning this, where's my example of how to question well? Am I allowed to question my faith with my parents? Am I allowed to engage with political ideas that don't quite sit right with me? And how do we do that? How do we figure these things out? And so I think there's a benefit in showing them how to do that well. If you come up against something that you believe that doesn't quite fit with Scripture, how do you deal with that? You come up with something you believe that doesn't quite fit with what Jesus says, how do you deal with that? What if you come up with an ideology that doesn't quite mesh with yours? How do you dig in? How do you challenge your own beliefs? How do you allow the information around you and the things that you know about God to shape what you believe? And so giving them an example of how to wrestle with, how to doubt your faith well, is a really positive thing. Another benefit is how to disagree with others well. I think a lot of the disagreement that we have in our world around us isn't necessarily done all that well. A lot of it's done online. A lot of it's very impersonal. A lot of it allows us to vilify other people and really only find resources that already confirm what we already believe. The art of engaging with someone, disagreeing with, learning from, and then enriching each other's lives through that discussion isn't something that gets modeled very well. And so it gives an opportunity for you to show, how do you disagree with someone? Well, if I come to an issue of faith believing something different from someone else, doesn't necessarily mean they're wrong. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm wrong. And we can come to the table, dig into Scripture, and disagree and still worship together. We can disagree, and that's okay. And so on some of these issues, by wrestling with our faith, by wrestling with issues that other people believe one thing and we believe something different, and how do you kind of work through that when you come up against that opposition, when you come up against something that challenges your faith? How do you disagree well? And we can give that example to our students. And the other one is that when we have everything put together, there's not much opportunity for them to step up. And so by me openly questioning my faith and openly questioning an aspect of that, challenging myself to learn from the teachings of Jesus, it allowed one of our students to step up into a role where they weren't just participating in a conversation about faith, they were leading a conversation about faith. They were guiding other friends their own age to talk about faith, to challenge their faith. They were asking kind of deeper and deeper questions. They were challenging people to dig deeper into a question. And it allowed them to take on a bit of a leadership role. That opportunity would have never presented itself had I had a point and a direction that I wanted to go. It wouldn't have given freedom for that student to be able to lead that conversation. And so sometimes by us taking a bit of a step back, it allows other people to step forward into those roles. And so those are just a few of the things that I've learned. That's my story for this week, and I really want to challenge you to be honest about your doubts, honest about your questions, to be wrestling with your faith in view of your kids or the youth that you lead in our community. I hope you have a great week. Take care.